Hello everyone. And so in the previous tutorial, we have seen like how we can set up the project for the first time in GitHub. And we have seen like how we can create the account on GitHub and how we can take the code from the remote repository to a local repository. Okay, how we can commit the code, how we can push the code to the repository. In this tutorial, we will see like if some other developer who joins the team and he or she needs to start working on this project, so how they will clone it into a local environment and what happens when they will push the code or commit the code into the repository. Okay, so let's see some different scenarios which is possible here. So as you can see, currently in our GitHub, we only have one file which is index.html, and so we have like uh, two projects, two developers working on it. Okay, left on the left side the new developer has joined, on the right side the developer is who's also already working here. Okay, you can see like this is in the YouTube and GitHub tutorial. We have all the code present here that we have pushed into the GitHub. So now the new developer will be setting up his project. Okay, so let's open up the terminal and we will clone the code from the remote repository to the local repository. Okay, let's jump into E. All right, so in this particular YouTube folder, we have GitHub tutorial. Now we will be creating a folder developer. Okay, so let's name this developer one. Okay, so we have created this folder. Let's jump into this folder and we will be cloning the repository, the remote repository into the local. How we can do that? It's very simple. Just write git clone and we have to paste the URL here. So which URL? The URL for the project. So let's go to the GitHub and go into this icon code, click on it and copy this link. So you can see that we can clone the repository by HTTPS SSH. And there is another GitHub CLI, but we are using HTTPS here. So just copy this. Okay. And this is the, and paste it. Okay. Enter. So now it will clone the repository. It means it will take everything which is present on the remote and put into your local repository. So now you can see that it's done. And okay, so we have, let's see how many folders we have. So you can see like in this particular directory, we have a folder YouTube GitHub tutorial, which is from the remote. Let's jump into this folder. Okay, clear the screen. Now open this into the VS Code. Okay, so the new screen has been opened. Let's close this one. Let's put this into here. So you can see like we have one file here and the same file, but this one is for the developer one and the right side there is developer two. The difference you can see from the terminal. All right, here YouTube developer one and here GitHub tutorial. Okay, now let's do some changes and push the code and see what happens. So the developer one come and he started working on it, and suppose he write so he says like code from developer one. Okay, he saves it. Now at the same time the main developer is also working on it. All right, so he do some like code from the, you can say the lead developer of the team. Okay, he's also working on it. Now both have their own changes. Okay, now we have to see what will happen if this particular developer commit the code and push, and when this developer tried to push the code. Okay, so let's see. So we say git and status. So you can see changes not staged, because when we add git add and the name of the file, then we are putting the file to the staging area. Then from there we will be commit the code and then push into the repository. Okay, we can also restore it. I mean, if I want to just remove all the changes, I can write git restore in the name of the file or period. So let's write git add index.html, or you can also write git add space period. So we have added the file into the staging area. We can also check it, git status. It will give us the status of the files. Enter. You can see like your branch is up to date. This the changes to be committed because we have pushed the file to the staging area. Now it is ready to be commit. So git commit. Okay. Changes from developer one. All right. Changes has been committed. Now git push. Simple, right? So the changes has been pushed. Now check git status after clearing the screen up to date. Now here we can see like git status. So you have modified. Let's do the same thing here. Git add period, git commit, changes from link developer. I hope you are like pretty familiar with this commands like git status, git add, git commit, and git push. Let's push the code. Now you will see an error, of course, because the the remote repository is one commit ahead because the developer one has pushed its code. Now we are also pushing the code to the repository. Okay, so there is clash because it is one commit ahead. You can read the errors and it is very useful to understand the errors, what they're trying to say. So they says that updates were rejected by because the remote contains work that you do not have locally, which is correct. Because now the remote repository, you can see in the remote repository, we will have this code. So let's go to the remote repository and check the code in the index.html file. And you can see we have the changes from the developer one. Okay. So developer one has the changes. So it's true, these are the changes, but we have the changes on the live developer here. So updates were rejected because the remote contains some bug they did not have locally. This is usually because another repository pushing to the same REST. Yes, there is another local repository which is pushing. So what you have to do, you may want to first integrate the remote, okay, before pushing again. So I have to integrate with the remote before pushing. So for this, I have to use git pull. I mean, first of all, I would pull the code from the remote repository to the local repository. So let's do that. Git pull. Now you will see what will happen. That's what we are expecting. So it's conflict. We have to resolve it. It's okay. Let's read. Let me read out because it's pretty small here. So what happens is that auto merging index. What is auto merging? So what is happening is that we have some code from the lead developer. Okay. So when we are pulling it, it might happen that this particular code from the left hand side can replace all the code which is in the right hand side, but that is not going to happen. So Git is giving us a chance to merge the changes. Okay. So from this, I mean, the changes by the developer one can be merged with the changes by the developer who is the lead. Okay. So it says conflict, merge conflict in the index.html, automatic merge failed, fix conflicts, and then commit the result. So it's saying that merge conflict happens because there are some changes which are in the index.html which is not present in this particular file, and the file which is created by the lead developer has some changes which might be overwritten by the changes made by the developer one. So we have to merge both the files. Okay. So in Visual Studio Code, you can see like we get some options here, like accept current change, accept incoming change, accept both changes, compare changes. In other editor, you might not get this change, but don't be afraid. Just delete those lines which is not required and just keep those lines of code which is required. Generally, what happens is the developers, when the merge conflicts happen, so the developers sit together and resolve the issues. So in this scenario, like we are both the developers, so we have to resolve it. So what we are going to do? We are going to accept current changes? No, because we don't want to overwrite the code which is already on the remote repository. accept incoming change. Yes, we want to accept it, but it means that if we accept incoming changes, the local code will be revert. So we will accept both changes. Okay. So let's click on it, or either you can just simply delete those things and this will work is fine. So let's click accept both changes. It will do the same thing. So what it done, we have merged the code here. See, code from local repository. This is the code that I have written, and this is the code from the developer one. So we have merged here. Okay. Let's clear it. Check the status. Okay, you can see this file has been modified. All right. Now git add period git. Okay, so we have merge conflicts resolved. Sorry if the spellings are wrong. Okay, so we have resolved the merge conflict. Now let's push the code to the repository. So it has been successful. Okay, now when we go to the repository, you can see we will have all the 3 lines of code. See, this is the previous one when we first created the project. This is from the lead developer and this is from the developer one. Okay, I hope this pretty much clears up your some concept. And in further video, we will jump to the more concepts of Git. Okay, thank you.